talked about squash goggles before, and I wish I had mine, but I can't find them, I'm sorry. But the point is that if you believe in something, you should continually promote it. Now, I've made 2 videos about wearing squash goggles, and I want to keep doing that because I want to convince you to wear squash goggles, or at the very least, try a pair and see if you like them. Now, this video is the weekly question. So the question to you is, and I know that you're not playing at the moment, what percentage of players in your club play with goggles? Now, you'll have to go on memory because, of course, you're not going to your club, but you'll probably know quite quickly. Now, when I say what percentage, I'm not asking you to count how many members you've got and count how many people you've seen with them, just like a rough estimate. And I've got to admit that for most Europeans, I'm expecting that number to be less than 20%, probably less than 10%. So that follows on from some other, then to some other questions. Is why don't you wear them? Have you tried them and didn't like them? What was it that you didn't like about them? What could be changed to maybe make you convince you to wear them? Now, that information to me is no good. I'm not a goggle manufacturer, but if we then could contact the manufacturers and say, look, you know, a large proportion of people said XYZ, they said something, maybe that could be addressed. Now, in addition to that follow-up question, the next question is, what could we do to encourage more people to at least try them? Assuming that once you've tried them and you quite like them, how do we convince more people? Now, of course, for juniors, I think in most places, but I'm not an expert on squash around the world. I'm not an expert on anything, but I think in the UK and definitely in the States, the United States of America, you have to wear goggles up until the age of 18. Now, I support that. In fact, I support you should have to wear goggles. I think that in 20 years' time, we're going to be looking back at this conversation and people will be saying, why didn't we just mandate it? Why didn't we just tell people you had to do it? It's part of the rules. You get one serve, you wear goggles. It's that simple. And then there's all the people who complaining, I don't really like it. Fine. But what is it that we could do to get more people wearing goggles? Now, for my squash ball project, I produced some posters and some sort of tests. Now, I don't think there's really going to be a test that we could be doing, but perhaps what we could do is we could encourage clubs to buy a few sets of goggles, and they say to people, when you first join the club, we want you to try these. I know of one club who actually gives a pair of goggles to every new member. What a fantastic idea. Part of me, and this is a little bit extreme, part of me wants to say to the World Squash Federation, not only must you make it a rule, but manufacturers must make them available at a price where they make almost no profit. Profit for safety is not something that I kind of put together. A basic model should be available to everybody for $10, €10, £10. And if you want accreditation for saying that your goggles are safe, then that's what you must do. You must make that available. And then you can sell better models. I mean, like that eye mask, that looks fantastic. And one day I hope to try that. I'm not saying that you can only sell £10 goggles. I'm saying that to get accreditation, you must make a basic pair where the company makes very little profit so that we can distribute them as much as possible. Anyway, I've been rambling, as I always do with these questions. So back to those questions. How many people in your club, more or less, wear goggles? Why don't you think they wear goggles? And what can we do to encourage more people to wear goggles? This video is part of the Let's Talk series. You can see the introduction linked in the text description. On the screen at the moment is a subscription button. If you think my content is interesting, please consider subscribing. There's also a list of the other Let's Talk videos and another video that YouTube thinks is a really good fit for you based on what you've been watching. And remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya.